autism when he was 2. But my son is a bit different. My son, he's non-verbal.
Okay, so he's more
Non-verbal
sort of
autistic.
true autism, as they would say. So there's like a bell curve. One end is the high functioners, the other end is the low functioners, and everyone else is in the middle because everyone has autistic traits.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. So everyone has 1 or 2 autistic traits, but
Right.
over the spread, it's when those autistic traits affect your well-being.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Mm.
So you might have someone. I mean, I suffer from something called synesthesia, where I can see smells, which is a bit weird, and occasionally get flashes of light when I say certain words.
Okay.
That's just one example. That's not a trait particularly. I mean, I struggle with something called face blindness, so I can't always tell whether someone's smiling at me or angry. I tend to say what I think without considering the other person's feelings, which got me into trouble a few times. And it's all that sort of what else do I struggle with? I can't process sound. So all sound and sense that goes into my head is given equal priority.
Mm.
And so I can be very distracted. So I've had to prep for this for like 2 days.
Of course. It's
In my
understandable.
mind, with working out what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And so I mean, right now, I can actually hear my dog breathing below. Jane is making a sandwich with 2 slices of bread because I can hear her crinkling the bread bag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, boiling the kettle.
Yeah.
There's a bird outside the window, and they all are given equal priority. So I have to focus and concentrate really hard on talking to you.
Yeah, of course.
And that can be quite mentally exhausting.
Oh God, yeah.
And then if you say people like I have been in Lincolnshire most of my life.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, she goes to the London comedy circuit and stuff like that." That would take me about a month of prep, breakdown of the club I was going into, access and egress routes, distance from stage to audience. I have to prep in my mind things that other people just walk on and do, which is why I prefer a higher stage than I do a coffee house.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was just me that did that.
No, it's pretty common in autism.
Oh, okay.
I mean, people say,
"Oh, me."
Yeah, people go, "Oh, you can't be sociable if you're autistic." Oh, I'm immensely sociable.
Yeah.
The issue is that I'm over friendly to people that I don't know, so I can just chat away to people. Not over friendly in a Jimmy Savile sort of way, but
yeah, I get that. I get that. Yeah.
Over friendly. Well, I will just chat to anyone, but I also treat them as though they're a lifelong friend. So I say things, having never met people, which are quite inappropriate. I can dominate conversation as well, which is something you probably noticed, which is a very autistic trait. So I have all these little traits, and there's probably, we know there's ADHD slapped on top of that as well. So I'm doing really well, actually, being nearly. And there's also something, I've got frontal lobe damage from a head injury.
Yeah.
So I have no concept of danger, particularly.
Okay.
Which has put me in situations, so, I call people out if they're racist, even if they're a big psychopathic nutter. Or, I mean, there was a famous one where Jane was really worried about me, where I isn't bigging myself up or anything like that, but I prevented a lass getting raped near our old house, and the guy who was doing it was huge. And loads of people were looking out the window, and it really irritated me that people will look out the window, but they won't do anything. And I went out.
Oh, yeah, that would get on my nerves.
Scrawny little me, and just went, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Phone the police. So, and just, and people go, "Oh, that was brave." It wasn't brave. To me, it was just something that needed doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when I, growing up, it's like if my, I don't know, one of my friends, or even not even a friend, if someone was like getting beaten up or whatever, or I don't know, being mugged, I'd get in there, be like, leave him, leave her, leave him alone.
I was scrawny at school, and I used to
leave him alone and whatever. But my mother was always like, "Oh, if you see stuff like that, just leave it." I'm like, well, I can't, because I can't deal with with injustice and unfairness, like,
That is a particularly Aspie trait. I have to be honest.
yeah,
So you will have one of the issues that I struggle with is I have a very stringent moral code, but that moral code may not necessarily follow the legal process in the
right,
land. Okay,
okay,
so
yeah,
I get torn up with a lot of things where my fight or flight response
yeah,
is very much loads of adrenaline and whoomp, and I call it Terminator mode because I literally one of the bizarre things that I do is if someone attempts to be aggressive towards me, is I can often start crying, and people go, "Oh, well, he's crying, he's wimpy," stuff like that. It's a release, and my friends
just
have
release,
known.
yeah,
My friends know that if I start crying, it's an aggressive situation.
yeah.
Just to step back about 20 yards, because I'll just go into Terminator mode, and I can take. God, this sounds bad. It's all very masculine, this, isn't it? But I've been punched for saying the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time,
Mm,
or looked at a situation and gone, "Nah, this needs dealing with."
yeah.
Throwing myself in between one person and another, and a lot of time it works out, and a lot of time it explains why my face looks like it's been put through a blender. But so that's a very Aspie trait because you don't recognize the signals that you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation. So you can also be very vulnerable to manipulation. So I've had that in the past. And
It's one of the things that my daughter's going through the process, assessment.
yeah,
For children takes a very long time, and we've been waiting for over 2 years now. But I definitely think she's high functioning because of so many traits, and basically she is the way I was. So she is a mini me. She looks like me, and she physically and uh, mentally and all this stuff. And if she sees like one of her friends being picked on or whatever, she'll go there. She wouldn't even think like twice about it. And as a kid, I used to get in trouble a lot because I saw one of the kids getting beaten up and whatever. I don't know, I would just separate them and be like, get out, what are you doing? And pick someone your own size, or probably, yeah, I've punched
see,
someone in the
bizarrely,
face.
as a kid, I was the opposite. So I used to be quite scrawny and would hide and disappear and quite a loner. And it was only after I went to college, and I did conservation at college. It was a great time, but a lot of chainsawing and a lot of lifting logs, and I suddenly trebled in size. And then suddenly I realized, I mean, people say I'm intimidating, and I don't feel like I'm an intimidating person. But apparently my eyes switch and everything like that. And I don't know, use a platform for the good of betterment of people. Be good to good people is my general motto in life.
Yeah, I didn't have many friends growing up anyway, so I guess the ones that I had, I would always protect them, and make sure they didn't get hurt. And I always expected people to do the same for me, even though that didn't quite happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have friends around you as well. And there's nothing wrong with being bolshy either.
Mm.
People say, "Oh, you're shouting at me," and I say, "Oh no, this isn't me shouting. I can shout at you, but if this is me being assertive,
Yeah,
understand the difference between the two."
I am a
Um,
loud person anyway, so
yeah, I think that's
yeah.
the thing as well amongst Aspies as well, that they can be quite loud and they can't change the tone of their voice very well. That's something I had to learn.
Yeah, I always thought, because I've got tinnitus, so I always thought it was just like because of the constant like ringing in my ears. So I thought that's why I was loud, because to me right now it's the I'm being a little quiet, which I'm not. But yeah, just
It's
like
both
I
of
thought it
us.
was my
I'm being
tinnitus.
quite quiet as well. I had a shouting contest with Brian Blessed, which was kind of epic. There's a video somewhere of me going, "Gordon's alive," but it's really I'm well known for being quite loud, and I have to
Yeah.
check it.
Yeah, I love it. I'll have a look.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably on my Facebook somewhere,
I'll
or
have a look.
my old profile. I'll find it and send it to you,
Yeah.
or the Porridge page.
That'd be
Oh
quite
yes.
interesting.
If you like what I say, I have a page called Dr. Cornelius Porridge. I'd love you to come along and join me for really bad memes that I stole off funnier people. Um, yes, and my general waffle. But I mean, the autism diagnosis, I think people get it wrong as well, is they think that you just sort of
Mm.
go to the GP and they go, "Oh, you're autistic." It's quite it was for me, and I got diagnosed late. It's quite a traumatic 6 months where you're getting tested and doing all sorts of weird things with psychotherapists and neuropsychologists I
Yeah.
had, and you had to draw. How would you mow this field? And I did it in diagonals, and they were like, "But it will take longer." And I was like, "Yes, but I can listen to the cricket for longer." So, and they were like, "But that doesn't make sense." I was like, "It does to me," and that's the important part.
Yeah.
So
I
when do you think you'll
guess,
get your diagnosis?
I mean, it's it's so hard. Like obviously with my son getting diagnosed at 2 because he just didn't speak, and
Mm,
he's 6 now and he's still in nappies, and he's got the mentality of a 1-year-old, and
mm.
no sense of danger, and yeah, so he's severely autistic.
Yeah,
He can't do anything for himself. He goes to specialist school, which they've been really, really good with him. So that is good. But in a way, like I didn't know anything about autism prior to him getting a diagnosis.
yeah. Oh, don't worry, neither did I.
Yeah, prior to him having a diagnosis, and then he was like, What's autism? What was this all about?" And then my daughter's behavior as well, and then my son's behavior, it made so much sense. It clicked. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm like that. Oh, I'm like that. And I was just like, at first I thought it was like my behavior influencing their behavior. But then my daughter having seen like an educational psychologist and all this stuff, then it just made sense. It just clicked straight away, and I've just been researching more and more about it, and I've been more I don't know, acceptant of it, and it just makes sense. And it's
Yeah.
not a bad thing, is it?
No, I would give you a piece of advice, which is don't go too far down the rabbit hole
Mm,
because it's very easy. And I got diagnosed in 2001, so what, 23 years ago.
mm,
And there is I'm doing this because I'm autistic. And you could just be that you're doing it because that's the sort of person you are. And you have to be very cautious because there's a lot of information out there, and stay away like the plague. This is just my stay away from the plague by well-meaning but ill-prepared groups
mm.
who live in a closed echo chamber. It is just a pet hate of mine where people go, "Oh, I work with autistic children, therefore I'm an expert," and I sort of sit there and go, "No, you're really not. The only people who are experts on it are people who have it. Okay, even the experts don't know about it."
I
Um,
think, yeah, and then people that live with other people that do have it, and
yeah,
yeah, I think the reason why I wanted to get diagnosed or go through the assessment is just so that I can understand my behavior. I can understand a bit more. I can understand why I am the way I am. And if I can, like, oh, it's this or that and the other, it makes me feel better.
yeah. I mean
Makes sense.
that's good, but it's just a word of caution. Actually, one of the best people to look into for academia is a chap called Professor Baron Cohen. I think he's at Cambridge still, and he's a bit of an expert. He's Sacha Baron Cohen's cousin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is or was the country's expert in autism for years. I had the pleasure of meeting him a few times.